Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I am back with another episode of Road to Rank, and we're actually going to find our first opponent right away. So, little buddy, Ditto Jolteon is still taking my place in the face cam. I am basically recording a lot of episodes today, because I will, of course, be going to the London International Championships later this week, so still want to get some content out for you guys in the meanwhile. But yeah, it's going to stick with the Trick Room team as I mentioned, and I will probably switch to the team that I bring to London after Road to Rank is over, so stay tuned for that. But hopefully you guys have been enjoying this team. We did take a loss yesterday in the first game, and that exposed some weaknesses to Alolan Ninetales, which I actually see on my opponent's team. But there is no Alolan Marowak this time around, so I'm a little bit less concerned than I was, I guess, for the last game. But I think here I'm actually going to lead with Oranguru and Torkoal. I've learned my lesson. I am going to lead Torkoal against the Ninetales because the way it works out is, okay, if he leads with it, then I basically get weather right from the start. If he doesn't lead with it, then he's going to have to switch into a Torkoal, which also isn't very fun. So, gonna go with the Oranguru and Torkoal. I'm gonna have Tapu Bulu in the back, which I think is pretty good against Gyarados and his Tapus. And for the last one, it's a question between Drampa and Salamence. Drampa allows me to sweep a little bit easier under Trick Room, but Salamence provides an Intimidate option, which would be huge against Gyarados and the Arcanine. So, kind of tricky decision here, honestly. Hyper Voice from Drampa, honestly, would be pretty solid, and Draco would still do a ton of damage. So kind of a tough call to make. I think... I just like Salamence too much though, so I'm going to go with it. But, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. As always, if you do enjoy Road to Rank, please share your support by leaving a like in the video. Would really appreciate it. And thanks for all the love on the channel. I forgot to mention this in yesterday's episode, we passed 60k subscribers on this channel, which is really awesome. It's never been a numbers game to me, but one of the goals that I do have is getting that silver plaque, so getting closer and closer to getting that, which is really cool. So thank you guys for the support. It's gonna be Tapu Lele and Arcanine as a lead though for my opponent. It's not very fun to see, especially because Arcanine's fire type attacks will be increased now. Intimidate not gonna matter though. Let's see. So Intimidate coming out before the Psychic Terrain, but both of those Pokemon are base 95 speed. Is that a Psychic Seed? Yes, and it does raise the special defense. Very interesting. So much stuff going on right from the beginning. Yeah, that boost is actually a little bit concerning. I think I am just going to go for the Trick Room Protect play turn 1. It's so obvious, but I don't know. It comes down to what this Arcanine honestly has, I think. And whether this Tapu Lele has a Z move. Because he could Z move me. Oh, he just goes for a Snarl. Okay. Well, I don't mind that because this Torkoal is not taking too much damage. And sure, Oranguru is going to take some damage from... the main thing is that this Arcanine is going to be a little bit annoying to knock out. And he does just Psychic into Torkoal, which is perfect. However, I think what's going to happen next turn is that Tapu Lele will be protecting and Arcanine will be going for a Snarl. And that does mean that the following turn I might not be able to knock out Lele. Yeah, Arcanine is definitely a problem for this team as well. But I'm still going to instruct Eruption just to get as much damage off because it still does a fair amount to Arcanine, and we know that Arcanine obviously, as Lele actually withdraws himself, okay, into Gyarados. Good switch in there by my opponent. But, yeah, the thing is, when you have Torkoal, it still just does so much damage with Stab Eruption and boosted by a Charcoal, which increases the damage output by 20%. But I will probably be taking a Snarl. This Arcanine is going to be pretty bulky, especially with that Psychic Seed. Not as bulky as I thought, though. I will be able to bring it under 50% here, which is pretty awesome. However, I most likely will be eating up a Snarl here, which is also kind of concerning. But cannot complain about this Eruption damage right now coming out, as it brings both of those Pokemon down to around 25%. It is going to be the Citrus Berry there from Gyarados, not too much of a surprise. Could be a Phoebe Berry, actually, but no, it's going to be Citrus. Yeah. And he actually misses the Snarl and Torkoal. Oh, I feel really bad about that. That's unfortunate, because that just made the game significantly easier. Now I can just Eruption Instruct again, and there is nothing my opponent can do to stop me. Even if he hits that, though, I think a double Heat Wave could still pick up the knockout. Definitely onto Arcanine, but maybe not onto Gyarados. However, it's not like I necessarily need the knockout onto Gyarados. I do have to keep in mind what Trick Room is running out, though. However, one of the nicer things about Oranguru is it, can take Psychic type attacks because it is part Psychic, so it doesn't have to worry about Tapu Lele's Psychic type attacks. Instead, of course, has to worry about Moonblast and whatnot. Arcanine here is going to go for a Protect. It would make sense for my opponent to double Protect here, I would be perfectly content. Yeah, he actually doesn't go for it, though. And the reason why I really like this is because now Gyarados is forced to switch in, or something's forced to switch it into the Gyarados slot. And that Arcanine slot will be going down next turn, most likely, because I don't think anything on my opponent's team can really take the combination of Instruct and Eruption. So this is just a Oranguru and Torkoal cheese right now, but it's really coming in handy. So, Eruption coming out again, and that's a knockout onto Gyarados. Excellent. So, Gyarados being knocked out is nice. It's actually one of the easier Pokemon for my team to deal with, though, because I've got Intimidate and I've got Tapu Bulu, so I'd rather would have liked to see something else go down, but you can't complain about the knockouts you get. Tapu Lele is going to come back in, and it's likely that we are just going to see Arcanine get knocked out here and Tapu Lele go for a Protect, so I do want to keep the late game in mind, because looking at what my opponent could have in the back, Torkoal has a pretty good matchup against all of them. If my goal is to really set up Trick Room twice in this game, though. So the question is, do I want to switch out into anything right now? Could just Psychic the Arcanine slot. I believe this is the last turn of Trick Room. Let me just make sure. Should be. Oh no, there's still 2 turns. Wow. Look at me miscounting. With that, then I'm just gonna Instruct an Eruption, yeah. Making things pretty easy right now. Oh, he doesn't even Protect with either Pokemon. What? Okay. So that's just going to be a clean double knockout. We take those. Yeah, definitely unfortunate Snarl miss there on the Torkoal, but yeah, I feel like my opponent, I don't know, it didn't feel like there was a very good game plan there, honestly. Especially turn 1, it was like Protect Trick Room's obvious, but that's kind of why I went for it, and it definitely helped out that Arcanine wasn't super aggro offense. Like, it was one of those Arcanines that are more defensively built. Obviously, if you have Psychic Seed, and Celesteal is going to be the last one. Yeah, that explains a fair amount. So, pretty good last Pokemon to see here. That allows me to just switch into Salamence and Eruption, because you either Wide Guard here, or you Protect, and then Salamence can just Fire Blast Celesteal into Oblivion. And my opponent's just going to forfeit. Yeah, so pretty quick game 1 win here. A very clean game, but I did get a little bit fortunate. Like, if Snarl misses there, I do think it changes the game a little bit. Although, I don't know. Like, Gyarados took 75% from the Eruptions. I'm not sure if 2-1 Heat Waves could knock out Gyarados when it was around, like, 45%. I think it would come close, but I feel like it wouldn't pick up the knockout. So it would make things a little bit different. But, yeah, that's unfortunate, honestly, with Snarl. And I feel like Torkoal just put in a lot of work there. I mean, obviously credits to Oranguru as well, but Torkoal was just like, I'm just going to erupt the left and right, and Oranguru supported it, and it worked out quite nicely. And for our second opponent of the day, it is going to be Ed from Spain, rocking a team of Salazar, Tapu Lele, Alakazam, the Mimikyu, the Mudsdale, and the Kartana. So, pretty interesting team composition there. You know, like, Kartana and Salazar are very aggro Pokemon, and Salazar is not allowed to have Fake Out right now pre-Pokebank, so I'm assuming it doesn't, but we did run into one on the Battle Spot the other day, which was kind of scary. I don't know, I actually like Lilligant Torkoal here as a lead once again, especially with Sleep Powder access. And in the back, I'm going to want Tapu Bulu to shut off the terrains, I think. It's really between Salamence and Oranguru. Salamence's Intimidate's pretty nice, but Oranguru does have the Trick Room option. Mimikyu is also something to be scared of slightly. I kind of like having a Trick Room option here, actually. But then the question begs, do I want Tapu Bulu still, or do I want Salamence over it? Yeah, I guess Intimidate's not the biggest concern for my team, or against my opponent's team composition, so we'll just play around that. I do want Tapu Bulu because Psychic Terrain boosts Psychic type attacks, and that damage output becomes significantly higher, so I want to play around that. But let's see what leads are coming out here. It's going to be the Salazar and Kartana coming out. Okay. So if that is a legally obtained Salazar, he shouldn't have access to Fake Out, but I don't know whether it actually does or not. I might just play it safe turn 1 anyway, by double protecting. Yeah. I guess I could Sleep Powder, actually. Like, what's the downside of Sleep Powdering? There isn't really. Because I'm Sash anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna Sleep Powder Heat Wave here. I think that play works out. Yeah, okay. No fake out coming out, and I connect with Sleep Powder, which is great. Although I could have just after you Eruption there. But I am, obviously, with Torkoal very defensive, so I can take any physical type attack here from Kartana. It's going to be a Sacred Sword coming out. That's not going to do too much damage, I don't think. Yeah, Torkoal takes that relatively well. I actually missed the Heat Wave on Salzo. That's actually a really big deal, as Kartana is sashed. And the reason why it's a big deal is because Salzo is typically pretty frail. So it kind of comes down to whether he stays asleep this next turn. Because I'm definitely going for the after you Eruption play. But if I got that Heat Wave chip damage off, another one probably would have knocked it out. So a little bit unfortunate, but I also could have Eruption last turn. The reason why I didn't was, okay, Kartana's going to protect as well. That's not much of a surprise. If Salzo stays asleep this turn, honestly, I think I just kind of win the game. But if it wakes up, it most likely gets a Sludge Bomb off. That might not even knock me out, though, so we'll see. But, of course, my special defense stat is kind of low. Heat Eruption coming off. Brings it. It's just around the 50% mark, actually, so another one might not even knock it out. But I am just going to go for the after Eruption. It's going to be very close. I think that might be a damage roll. But he doesn't have any options for the after Eruption, so I don't have to think very much about this play, I think. Twist of irony there. But, yeah, turn 1, like, I could have just after you'd Eruption, but I figured Salzo was going to go for, like, a poison-type attack onto Torkoal. So I do get the knockout onto Kartana here, which is great, and maybe can pick up the knockout onto Salzo as well. Yeah, I do pick up the knockout. Awesome. Was that a crit? Nope. So, yeah, it was, like, just around the 50% mark. I wasn't sure whether another one would knock it out. Figured it might come down to damage rolls, but guessing I got a higher roll there, or maybe just a low roll the first time around, but that's a quick 4-2 lead for me here, and Torkoal hasn't taken too much damage. And I still have the Focus Sash on Logan, too, so everything going right so far. It's going to be Lele coming in, and what's the last one? Mimikyu. Okay. So I'm kind of content to see that as well. Because I can just after you Eruption once again. Mimikyu can't do too much damage. I won't knock him out, but that's fine. Yeah, honestly, I can just keep after you in here. I suppose he could go for a Psychic onto Torkoal and a Trick Room with Mimikyu. Which, I actually didn't consider. Maybe I should have thought about that. But I didn't want to risk a Sleep Powder miss onto Tapu Lele because I'd rather go for the guaranteed damage right now. And with Tapu Bulu in the back, I feel okay about my odds. I don't think we're seeing a Protect coming out here. So after Yusha's coming out, yeah, and a free Eruption. But it makes sense because you know that the Mimikyu has the free substitute from the Disguise, and Tapu Lele is bulky enough to survive that. So I do get rid of the Disguise. I do put Tapu Lele down to around 25%, but he is going to be able to get a Psychic off here. And could be a Trick Room coming out, honestly. Yep, knockout onto Torkoal. Is Trick Room coming up? No, it's actually a Z move. Oh, cool. So I would guess the Ghost Z move, Never Ending Nightmare, I think that's what it's called. No, it's actually Z Splash. Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, that basically just boosts the attack by, I think, to 2.5. But the thing is that Mimikyu can't use priority attacks, so I can kind of just put it to sleep. So I'll bring a Ranguru out. I guess that's still really scary, actually, because I have a Ranguru instead of an offensive Pokemon, and he could just knock out my Tapu Bulu. I'm gonna Sleep Powder Mimikyu. I'd actually really like to Psychic that slot. Yeah, I'm gonna double up onto it. Miss could actually be kind of bad for me right now, but even with that attack boost, I'm not sure Mimikyu knocks out a Ranguru because it's a regular attack stat is kind of average. So if I hit Sleep Powder, I think I should just, the game should be wrapped up, and I am fortunate enough to hit it, but don't want to call it too early yet. You know, it's still possible for my opponent to win this one. Lele's gonna go for the Psychic onto Logan, but I've got the Sash, so yep, he's gonna bring me down there. Let's see how much the Psychic does from a Ranguru. I am going to be boosted by Psychic Terrain, and Mimikyu is kind of frail. I don't think it'll do like around 50%, but hey, you never know. Yeah, you never know. Sunlight does fade though, and that's kind of bad, because I think Tapu Lele outspeeds me now though. So I'm just going to go for a Sleep Powder and a Psychic. And I think Oranguru should be able to take a play rough even with the Z-Splash. He is just going to go for the Psychic. Oh, he targets down Oranguru. Okay. Getting a crit there. And Mimikyu stays asleep, unfortunately, for my opponent. So getting a little bit lucky there, basically hitting my Sleep Powder. I do miss it on Tapu Lele, but I don't really care that much about that. We'll be able to get the Psychic off, and that's going to knock out Mimikyu. So my opponent's Psychic Terrain basically helping me out, and pretty handy there. But with that, now I still have Tapu Bulu in the back, so I've still got the terrain advantage. I'm just going to HP Ice and Psychic. Don't want to switch in Tapu Bulu because that's the win condition. It's not like a Lele could really solo things out here anyway, but yeah, I'm just gonna play it smart. And that's because Lilligant does significantly less damage than Tapu Bulu, which can just pick up a one-hit knockout onto the Lele. But yeah, definitely got a little bit fortunate there, hitting that Sleep Powder and then a 2-turn sleep there, because he could have potentially woken up, and as I did miss the Sleep Powder on Tapu Lele, that could have been pretty bad. Because I didn't count the sun turns too well there, so kind of suboptimally played by me, I would think. But I'm not sure what else I could have really done because Lilligant was starting to become dead weight. So Grassy Terrain is going to come up, and yeah, I'm just going to Wood Hammer and Psychic, and that's going to be a clean knockout, regardless of what happens here. But Oranguru, I guess it would actually be safer to protect Trick Room, but in this position, there's absolutely nothing a Lele can do because Lele is like basically single target heavy offense, not double target. So it does get Dazzling Gleam, but that's not going to pick up a knockout on either, even with critical hits and a special attack increasing item. So yeah. We are going to pick up the win here. A pretty exciting game. And yeah, 2 fun games for you guys today. We are making the climb to the 1700s. But like I mentioned, I am recording a bunch of episodes today. So you guys will probably see a little Jotion here for a little bit longer. And yeah, I will be heading to London on Wednesday morning for the International Championship. So you can follow that live. You can follow how I'm doing on Twitter, since I'll be tweeting my results probably at Cybertron VGC, as you see on the overlay. And if you're interested in watching that tournament live, check out Pokemon.com/live for all updates and whatnot. So yeah, it's going to be it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, peace.